What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and welcome to episode 51 of All Hail the King. Now, today's episode is going to be pretty awesome, and it's going to feature Stein. But before we start, I do just want to let you know, I'm still slightly sick, but I am getting over it, so it shouldn't be too long now. But anyways, as always, you can check out the corresponding podcast in the description below. You can also check out everything else podcast related at www.thehelicarrier.com. Now, as I was saying, in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at Stein in PvP, and we'll be using him in 3 different team-ups. First up, we're using his fellow runaway, Molly Hayes. Now, because we're using 2 runaways, our team is going to get the buff Try Not to Die. Evasion is increased by 25%. It sounds great, and you would think that's a great benefit, but unfortunately evasion is not really reliable in this game. Because of that, I would probably prefer something else, but hey, at least it's something. Oh, and by the way, of course Kurth can't be affected by Neuropurge, because she's immune to psychic effects, among many other things. But still, at least we can shut down Null's preemptive counter. So for this one, we brought out the Hand of Apocalypse, and that was in part because it has Paragon Exploiter, and Stein's level 9 has pressure points, plus it's an AoE. That certainly makes for a good combination, but I'll be honest with you, we were more worried about setting up a certain little girl. I had an idea in my mind, and I wanted to see if we could really get that to play out. What it involves is using X-ray goggles. You may think, well, that's a nice little move, but perhaps you've kind of overlooked it. To be honest with you, in the right situation, this ability is amazing. So first of all, it is subtle, and it's going to apply targeted. Attacks against this target are guaranteed to hit and crit. Then it also causes Old Lace to join in with attacks against this target. What that actually means is after you hit a target with this debuff, Stein's level 2 Get 'em Old Lace will be cast. This applies flanked and disadvantage. So let's go ahead and apply that to Kurth as well, and surprisingly it's something she's not immune to, so I believe that's a first. Then when you have a character that can attack multiple times, especially someone like Molly Hayes, you are going to have a filled day with these targets. So after using Temper Tantrum, we're going to go ahead and drop kick Kurth, and just watch what happens. First of all, of course it's going to hit and crit, and then because of Love Me, my agent tries to hit me, but then Old Lace joins in. What we have now is a bruiser that has neutralized and flanked, plus Old Lace will still join in. So we'll use a wind-up punch, followed by drop kick, and eventually Old Lace finishes her off. Now that's a pretty awesome and devastating combination. Unfortunately, because of Love Me, my agent's trying to kill Molly, so we have to play it a little bit safe. We'll have to take a few shots at Salt before we go back to the Worthy. Pretty much though, Molly is going to end this fight, and while she does that, I do want to say this is one of my favorite techniques with this hero. Stein works fantastic with Molly Hayes, and later you're going to see the Destroyer. He of course has Frenzy and can gain up to 3 extra turns. But besides that, you can also use Chase a different way. You can use him to lock out abilities, and so say you see a Quicksilver on the other team, well, you can lock out melee. In fact, because of his talkback passive, he can actually counter a melee action with Firestarter. And I would just like to show you a very quick clip of that before we get into the next fight. So let's go ahead and take Agent Salt out, and then we'll get to that clip. One more attack ought to do it. Well, we have to hit it first. So let's go ahead and use a wind-up punch. And that's going to be the end of our first match. So like I was saying, when Quicksilver goes first and uses, say, a blinding punches, Stein will sometimes counter with a Firestarter. This locks out melee abilities, and it causes Quicksilver to have to recharge. So he misses his second attack, and he'll have to recharge on his entire next turn. So that's pretty phenomenal, as you can imagine. It's also just another reason to love Stein. Okay, and here in our second team up, we're using Captain Britain. He of course has a big hitting level 9 with Paragon Exploiter, and he also can gain extra turns. Plus, we placed a pressurized AISO on his level 1, which is going to help him gain Paragon Exploiter and extra turns even faster, especially considering Chase Stein is going to flank the opponents and cause him to do a follow-up attack. That's basically the idea behind this one. Alright, so on Captain Britain's turn, he's going to use Right as Might, and we actually get a very early Merlin's Gift proc. So with that, we'll use our hard-hitting level 9 Britannic, and just like that, we take down Pestilence Beast. Now that's a fantastic way to begin a match. It's certainly going to go a long way in helping us control this match and ultimately win. And now with X-ray goggles on the enemy agent, Old Lace will now join in and they're targeted. Then with the enemy beast gone, we're going to go ahead and use the Light Fantastic and heal off all our debuffs. Next I'm going to use the Fire Tornado to exhaust the enemies. Unfortunately, I should have used the Blackest Void first to remove Bulwark. We actually could have done that because it's a quick action due to the Safeguard Tactician suit, but better late than never. Then after all of that, I'm going to use the Hand of Apocalypse and I'm going to target Red Hulk. The agent was tempting because they do have targeted, and Old Lace would have joined in, but we'll leave them for Captain Britain. He's up next and we're going to unleash a Right as Might. It's very important to build up pressure points debuffs, and that way his level 9 will do some amazing knockout damage. Okay, and once again we're getting an extra turn, plus Old Lace is going to flank her. So even if this Britannic didn't one-shot her, we would still get a follow-up attack. Of course that isn't needed. So now with only Red Hulk remaining, this victory is guaranteed. What we'll do with Chase is use Get 'em Old Lace and place flanked. Then on my agent's turn, I'm going to use the Improbability Field as a quick action due to the quick and powered ISO 8. We'll follow that up with a Warm Zephyr to heal back our team. And then I'm going to use the Hand of Apocalypse. If this lands and we'll do our follow-up brawl, that should end this fight. Sadly, the first hit misses. But hey, maybe that's not too bad because Captain Britain will get to hit him instead. And with that, we'll do 17,000 damage. So we'll take it. Not our biggest hit, but not terrible. Now, like I was saying, for our final team, we're using the Destroyer. And you may have been wondering, can Chase Stein beat the Worthy without Molly Hayes? We're about to find out. Now the evil enemy agent's going to begin by using the Neurotrope, and then he tries to use the Mystic on my agent. Luckily we have that equipped as well, so we have the Mystic Shroud. We also can use the Blackest Void as a quick action, so we remove his Shroud, and then we have the Grimoire of the Legion equipped. This would have also been a quick action if it was the first debuff we used. What it's going to do is flank all the enemies at once, and we can still use it at the end of our turn. And what it's going to do is grant Rectifier to all allies. Energy attacks gain guaranteed hit and increased chance of critical hits. This is hugely beneficial for the Destroyer. Plus it causes energy attacks to heal him as well. But just consider that his level 1 is a ranged energy attack and it has deadly crits. So the Rectifier is a fantastic combination for him. Also, because the enemies are flanked, we're going to do a follow-up attack and gain a second Destructive Essence with each of our attacks. Well, single target attacks. Then with Chase Stein, we can still use our goggles because this does cause Old Lace to join in and it places targeted on the enemy. However, we also could have used them like I mentioned at the beginning of this video and try to lock out the enemy's abilities. For example, say you hate Spider-Woman's level 6 and level 9, and who doesn't? Well, if you use his Fistagon Shock of the Lightning, you will cause her to be unable to use buff abilities or debuff abilities. That will take out her level 6 and level 9. It seems kind of crazy, but he's not a bad way to counteract Kurth. She's always a threat though, and usually she's a bruiser, so he's only going to enrage her. You could get Old Lace to hit her with disadvantage though, and that certainly will help out. Now this time, after Kurth attacks, the good news is we're going to use Frenzy next turn. Oh, and Chase Stein hits her with a Fire Starter, so now her melee abilities are locked out. Destroyer only has 2 Destructive Essence, but we're still going to get 3 attacks in a row. And since the enemies are flanked, this is going to be pretty awesome. We will begin by hitting Kurth, and then we do a follow-up attack. After her counter, Old Lace is also going to hit her. There goes neutralized. And that will certainly help us out, like I said. Next we're going to hit Null with the Disintegration Beam, followed by a Crush. And finally, since Kurth is so low on health, we'll attack Null again. She shouldn't be too hard to take out, and she has Bleed, which is another great debuff to place on Kurth. Following an enemy Ragnarok'em Sock'em, I'm going to go ahead and use our level 9. It's a very solid ability, and it has been underutilized in this video. It actually has Pressure Points, Intimidated, and Shell Shocked. Then following this move, Kurth is going to counter, and she ends up taking herself down. Then with my agent, I'm not even going to mess around, I'll just hit Null with the Mystic, and that's how this one's going to end. That also brings us to the end of this video, so I want to thank you all for watching, and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. Then until next time, good luck, and take care.